So in today's video, I'm kind of mixing things up a little bit from the usual fashion stuff that I like, and I kind of want to talk about some stuff because I always feel like I have so many things to say, and I love reading books and like listening to podcasts, and I feel like I'm not really saying anything that groundbreaking, so a lot of the times I kind of stop, or I just kind of use it as a caption on Instagram. But this time I'm just gonna do it, because even though I might not be saying anything that new or that groundbreaking, I feel like I can just be part of the solution and part of spreading that positivity and motivation for people. So that's what I'm gonna do. And Cosmo here is gonna help me. Right, Cosmo? Up. Up. Come here. Oh yes. You gotta say hello to everyone. Cosmo, look right here. Oh yeah. What have you taught us? You're so smart. Okay, bye. Okay, so as you saw from the title, this video is lessons from my dog. And I've got my little notes right here to help me remember everything. But I accumulated this over some time, and I put in not too much thought because I wanted to sort of be able to flow and talk about this easily. But I did try to make it still somewhat prepared. So, the first lesson that I have learned from owning a dog and sort of seeing his natural behavior and learning from the beauty of his animalness, learning from that raw, like intuitive behavioral nature that he has. The first thing that I really learned from him is to start off each morning by really giving myself a second before I get out of bed. And the way that I do that, and the way that he does that, is by doing a big yawn and a big stretch. And I know that some of you guys are probably rolling your eyes, but I feel like this is actually so good and so helpful. So many people talk about how important a morning routine is, and I totally agree with that. But before you start that morning routine, before your alarm goes off and you open your phone and it's really bright and you roll out of bed, before you do that, turn off your alarm and give yourself a second to just actually like stretch and like, you know, give yourself that. And then slowly roll onto your side and get out of bed. Don't just force yourself out of the bed. Don't just sit up and start going. Yes, you can start off motivated, obviously, but give yourself that moment of like, okay, I'm awake, I'm stretching, I'm breathing. I need that moment to gather myself and to just take a breath before the start of all the things of the day come in. And you'll really feel it. You'll feel a lot more calm as you start to take on all the tasks that are listed. So yeah, that's the first thing I've learned from having a dog. This next lesson is learning from him to be present. Animals are so much better at this than us, obviously, because they think differently, if you can even classify it as thinking. But obviously they have feelings and reactions and stuff, but I mean, they aren't necessarily planning for the future constantly. They aren't necessarily thinking about all the past a ton. And I think the reason that I bring up this example is because dogs who were abused, obviously they're timid for a while and it takes them time to recover and be comfortable with their new home. However, they are such beautiful examples of recovery and change, and I feel like we really can learn from that in order to be present. Like, they are so good at healing and becoming present again. And they, you know, they sit on the floor and they just breathe and they just look around and they're present. They take in the world around them. They just exist. They allow themselves to just exist. And they wait. And sure, they might get distracted by food, or maybe they fall asleep and take a nap, of course, and that's part of being human too. But they're so good at just being. And I think a way that we can sort of relate that to the animal is that they really smell things, they really taste things, they observe, you know, they're looking at all these things that are happening. And sometimes we humans get so caught up in our minds that someone can talk to me and I won't even hear them say it because I am so deep in thought. So yeah, really, I mean, just truly looking at the blades of grass and appreciating the green that they exhibit, and taking in, you know, the little breeze that's hitting me right now and really feeling it. It prevents us from living in this virtual reality of the internet and work, and this virtual reality of the future and the past, and it puts us here now. And I know that so many people talk about this, but it really is so mind-blowingly effective. Like, you really start to feel and you really start to live your life, because if you're constantly in your head and in a different time and in a state of stress, like, you can't ever enjoy what's happening now. And then you might think, man, that trip was supposed to be really fun, but it kind of wasn't. And then you might look back and be like, actually, if I had just paid attention to what was going on and in that moment really felt it and really said, wow, what's happening right now is truly fun and truly incredible, you would remember it better. And then when you look back on it, you can say, yes, I had a good time. That was a fun time. And I know that sometimes things aren't fun for various reasons, but you can get way more out of your life experiences if you take a moment to remember them and you take a moment to experience them fully, because not only can you remember them better later, but then it doesn't feel like your life is just happening. It doesn't feel like your life is just passing you by. You're really living it in that moment. You're really enjoying going to that thing. Just like a dog would really enjoy going to the park, or is obsessed with the food, the same food that you've given him a million times. He's still super excited about it. Which brings me into my next lesson. Number 3, which is to be grateful for little things. I think that it's important to be grateful for non-generic things in order to be realistic about what you need as a human beyond the basic necessities, but I still think that there's a real value to being grateful for the basics, because dogs are so good at this. Your dog will get so excited to eat that food every single time, even though he's had it every day for the last month. Even if you change up the flavors, like, he's still so excited to eat this food. And it really just reminded me that even though maybe I'm having avocado toast again for the 3rd day in a row, like, it still tastes good and I'm still enjoying it and I'm still able to have that nutrition and enjoy it with my family at the table, and, you know, feel healthy afterwards and enjoy the textures of it. And just, it kind of goes in line with being present, but also really just like taking in what's happening and being grateful for it. And sometimes it can be like a little woo-woo to people to be grateful for little things, but I feel like those people, don't let those people influence your thought. And if you're one of those people, I know where you're coming from. I get why it might seem a little woo-woo to you, but just try it. And if it's not for you, then maybe focus on being grateful for other things more, if that's just more effective for your mind. But I feel like you might be surprised on how internally just beautiful you can feel this peace and this love and this sort of serenity. I feel like that's a good word. You can feel this serenity by just really thinking, wow, it is crazy that this plant right here is just photosynthesizing. Like, wow. And you know, we still don't even really understand photosynthesis, but that's a completely different topic. I mean, it is incredible. Definitely listen to some science podcasts about this. It's fascinating. Anyways, yeah, just appreciate it for the deeper components that it has, because you might think, yes, I'm grateful for this avocado toast. It's great. It tastes good. But just think about all the people that had to be involved to get that avocado toast to your house. Like, okay, next lesson. Oh, you do good. We're on lesson 4. Asking for help. So a couple years ago, I watched this documentary, and it was sort of comparing the difference between dogs and wolves. And the biggest difference between them was that they did this experiment where this cage had food in it, and the wolves were familiarized with humans, and the wolves just kept pawing at the cage and trying to get in there and trying to get the food, and they were like getting stressed out and all that stuff. And the dogs would kind of start that way, but then eventually the dogs would go to the humans and ask for help and be like, yo, this food is in there, you see me trying to get it, can you help me, because I know you can get it. And it's a really fascinating difference. Dogs are the masters of physical communication and physical behavior. They are geniuses when it comes to that. And it's really interesting to me that that was the major difference between them and wolves, and how the wolves just could not cross that line into asking the human for help or realizing that the human was capable of helping. And the dogs, I mean, that clicked so fast. So yeah, the lesson here from that is ask for help. If you don't know how to do something, or you're trying to run your business and you need help with something, instead of just assuming, oh, I can't afford to pay someone to do that, or I can't afford to have someone give me advice on this, or whatever, just ask. You never know what people are willing to do, and if you are a good person generally and you want to build those good relationships and you have people in your life that you can trust and stuff, you'd be surprised what people are willing to do to help, especially people who are already successful. A lot of the times when people get to the top, it seems like they realize the real beauty in everything is how they made an impact and how they helped people. At least that's what they all talk about on podcasts, is how the beauty of life really comes from what you did to make things better. So usually people who are successful want to help because they realize that that's actually what makes them happy. So yeah, ask for help. Don't be afraid to. You might be surprised what you're able to come across and what people you're able to meet. One of the biggest things about being successful is networking, and that's how people get jobs, and you have to not be afraid to talk to people and figure out what information you need to have. And it also just makes life way more interesting. If you have other people to ask and be a part of things, it just makes the process so much more beautiful and so much more effective, because you're not just doing everything by yourself. And dogs are so good at that. Dogs are so good at begging and asking. And I think there's a real beauty to leaning on each other and having that relationship and that bond. So yeah, that's one of my favorite ones, actually. I think just there's a beauty to not having all the answers or having all the capabilities, and having other people in your life there who do and can help. And then you taking on that role for other people too. That's really what makes life interesting and fun, is being able to contribute and help in some way. So yeah. Okay. Final lesson. This is a reminder to drink some water. Dang it, there's a bug in here. The final lesson that I would like to share today. Maybe I'll do another part of this because I feel like there's so many more. Like, I always think about how the way that I am with my dog must kind of be the way that a creator or a god would probably be with us. Like, with teaching us lessons, or dogs not understanding why we're saying no, and how we don't understand why sometimes the answer is no. That sort of thing. I might do a separate part for that. Okay, anyways. The final lesson for today is to love unconditionally. I know, more woo-woo, more cheese. But the truth is, dogs are so good at this. And so are cats and other animals, but this is lessons from a dog, okay? And I'm a dog owner, so. Dogs just, they trust. You know, even the ones who have been abused, after they heal, they find a new level of trust. They forgive and move on. When you accidentally step on your dog, they may squeal, but then they come right back to you, and you can be like, I'm so sorry, but they still just come right back for those pets, and they give you kisses. Like, let's just make life easy for once and just forgive people. Let's make life easy. Let's just forgive and forget and move on. Give people a chance, because not everyone is out to get you. Not everyone is trying to take advantage of you. Yes, there are people who give you fake apologies, but not everyone is like that. And if you think that person is like that, that's a whole separate video. But if this is someone who's been in your life for a long time and they make a mistake, or even if it's such a small thing, sometimes it's not even worth bringing up. Sometimes it's not even worth having a discussion about, because deep down, you know, they just made a mistake. They just didn't make the right choice in that moment. If it's a habit, maybe it's something you should bring up. But yeah, just love unconditionally. Do not be expectant of people to do things. Just see the beauty in the person. Everyone has beautiful qualities about them. Everyone has something to offer. Everyone has talents. Loving unconditionally applies to just forgiving and forgetting and moving on, but it also applies to, like, just enjoying the beauty of each person as you meet them, as you talk to them, which it also ties into being present and really seeing everything that's beautiful it really ties into being present also, because you're really looking at this person, you're really listening to them, you're really taking in everything they have to offer, and appreciating who they are, which really just gives you this extended sense of peace and serenity and love for that person all over again. So yeah, all these things really tie into each other. Everything is very interdisciplinary, but yeah, and then lastly, of course, that unconditional love applies to yourself as well. Now, that doesn't mean you should completely let go and just do whatever you want, love yourself anyways. That just means if you have a goal and you don't reach it, or you make a mistake along the way, yes, you can be like, oh, dang it, move on, keep going. We need to be better about staying in the right now too, and loving someone unconditionally, including yourself, and really being present and really listening and taking in the beauty of the grass and all of the things that nature is doing. The fact that you have cells that are converting different chemicals into other chemicals right now. It's just the world, if you really pay attention, the world is fascinating. There are so many crazy things going on right now in my body, in my brain. There's just neurons. It is amazing. But if you don't take the time to pay attention and appreciate it, life's really boring and very mechanical, and you do this to get that in order to eat and go to sleep, and life is very formulated. So, it's your choice. You can either let your life be formulated, or you can take these lessons from my dog and just try to inspire some new ways of existing, some new ways of thinking about the way you think. So, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you feel like it. And I will see you guys next time.